And there we go. Welcome in. It's the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran, doing this every Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. High noon, as we call it around here. Give me a couple of seconds here. Let me just see what's happening. By the way, about that name, we're gonna have to change it. I think we're gonna drop. I think we're just gonna call it the Rant. I think we're gonna drop the High Noon. Two reasons for that. One, it rarely starts at high noon. I mean, if it was truly going to be a high noon rant, then it should start at 12. I should be like ready to hit the go button at 11:59:59 because high noon is what, and it never does. It's always a little bit late. The second reason is I'm getting tired of people thinking this is a weed show. People think, what is that, a stoner show? What do? You get all high on camera and then you no, but I can see it. I mean, I can see how that might be something you'd find. That ain't what this is. This is just a guy with his allergies. So I'm thinking about just changing it to the Rant. And we may, through the course of things change. We may, and I know we all hate change. We may move the show to a different time or something, or it might even be earlier. I don't know. We will see. But thinking about moving away from that. Your thoughts, chat room. Why not? Byron says, to be fair, I'm always high while watching. Well, there you go. If you folks are the ones who are always high, then that's great. Then you can call it that. We can call it that. I just think, I don't know. I got somebody's like, I was talking to somebody and they're like, oh, cool. What is it? Is that like a weed show? I'm like, first of all, no. Second of all, why is that the first thing you think of? Like, am I like Chong? Who am I? Like, what? Why would that make sense? High noon. It's a goddamn Gary Cooper reference, you people, and I swear to God. That's all it was. Just a movie, just a reference to a movie. All right, welcome in. What is the High Noon Rant for now? The High Noon Rant is me sitting here, and I run through all the current events, the breaking news, the hot topics, whatever it is that people are buzzing about in this big, mixed up, crazy world of ours. I'm going to give it to you. Now it's going to go through my filter, and it's going to be performed in what I call a stream of consciousness. A stream of consciousness rant. We do the show in what is a stream of consciousness? No breaks, no stops, no breaths, pregnant pauses, to be sure. Occasionally, I may have to get up and let the dog in or out of the room, but there are no commercial breaks. There are no moments for me to go to the bathroom. It's just me in my unbridled thoughts on all the things that are happening in the world today. I'll tell you what's happening. I'll tell you what I think of it, and then we'll move on. We don't get political. We are not political. This is not a political show. Hell, the whole reason that it's online is because I refuse to do the kind of radio that they want me to do on regular radio. And by regular these days, I mean AM. Right? I don't want to just sit here and talk about, well, this all goes back to Obama. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. That makes me want to vomit. So we do this, a casual, familiar style of talk. We're just talking about all the issues. We're not letting any political ideology, affiliation, or influence, or agenda for that matter, influence in any way. We're just talking. I'm just a guy. You're getting to know me as a guy. What am I? What is he, a lib? Sometimes. What is he, a fascist? I don't know. I've been called that for a couple of things that I think. I'm just a regular guy, and that's who we're hoping to attract with this show. We are a show for the people who have never been kicked off an airplane. We are a show for the people who've never gotten arrested in the parking lot of Target store. We are the show for people who are still invited to their family Thanksgiving dinners. We are a show for the normals, the normal people. We do the show in 4 quarters. This is how it will unfold. I've explained the stream of consciousness concept. It will unfold in 4 quarters like a football game. First quarter, antecedently on this day. Second quarter, birthdays. Antecedently on this day is this day in history. It's just got a fancy name, that's all. Then we go to birthdays. You know what that is. Then we go to the deads. I like the deads because we like to decide whether they went to heaven or hell, and that's always fun. Buckle up today because there's a couple first ballot. I'm not going to tell you heaven or hell, but there's a couple first ballot Hall of Famers that died on this day that we'll talk about. And then in quarter 4, that's when we get into all the topics and everything else that's happening in the day. Okay? Now, if you're ready, we'll do some business. So last month we didn't make it, but man, we made it. This show, as I say, it runs on your tips and your gratuities. We didn't make it. Thank you, though, yesterday to, hold on. Hold on. That was weird. I just had. Oh, don't be scared. It was nothing scary. Hiccups. I'm battling hiccups. Sometimes I battle hiccups. I don't think I've had to battle it. Oh, here we go. Welcome back. Welcome back, hiccups. Stream of consciousness. I'm not taking proper breaths. And I start to hiccup because I'm ranting. And this is what happens. We'll get through it. No better time while battling the hiccups to thank Hugh, my buddy Huge. My buddy Huge hooked us up yesterday. Got us within striking distance. Incredible. Thank you, Hugh. Hugh and I go back years. Hell, actually, I shouldn't say that just for Hugh because a lot of us go back years. Byron also helped out yesterday. Got us within striking distance. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much. Now we're gonna do regular show stuff. We're not in pledge week anymore. God damn it, these hiccups. Today I gotta check my text because I just got a text. Today's a big day. It kicks off a big weekend for us around here. It's my kid's birthday. It's my kid's 11th birthday tomorrow. These will pass, I promise you. Let's do a little hot. Oh, not gonna help. I used to regularly battle the hiccups on this show, and I hate these. I hate this part of the show. It's such a distraction from the rant. My brain was cooking. I was ready to go, and now I have to completely switch off my brain and go into the whole mind over matter. You can control the hiccups with your thoughts kind of thing, and that's really hard to do when I'm also streaming, when I'm talking to you guys because I'm distracted. Thank you to Hugh and to Byron yesterday. I appreciate you. Yeah. So it's big birthday week. Big birthday weekend. Mason is turning. Thank you, Peter. Peter says, happy birthday, Mason. Turns 15 tomorrow. And we got a big day tomorrow. We got a scrimmage. First, is this even legal? I don't even know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't care. My kid wants to play football in full pads tomorrow with his high school team. I don't have a problem with it. But it seems early. So he's got like a spring scrimmage tomorrow at his high school. And I'm going out there. Well, gotta go out there. I gotta take him. He's with me this weekend. So I'm gonna take him out there. And here's the thing. He's like, hey, Dad, Saturday, I got something I got to do. I got a scrimmage. And I'm like, oh, cool. Really? Full pads? He's like, yeah. I'm like, awesome. Can't wait. And he's like, oh, you can stay. like I wasn't gonna. I'm like, well, I'm staying anyway. And don't worry, I'm quiet, Dad. I'm not like, hey, Coach, what are you thinking? I'm not that Dad. I've seen variations of that Dad, but I'm not that Dad. So we got a scrimmage tomorrow. And then he says to me, he goes, it's in the morning. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. Saturday morning scrimmage, 11 a.m., whatever, that's fine. We'll go out to breakfast beforehand. And then we'll go to the scrimmage. No, he says, no, Dad, it's at 8 a.m. So it's 8 a.m. And I don't live in a school district, so it's about a 40-minute ride at 8 a.m., which means we're going to have to wake up around here because dogs got to be walked. Things have to be done. Jeez. So it's going to be an early, like 6:30 morning tomorrow. Happy birthday. Wake up. Let's go play football. So that'll be fun. Hiccups are not going away. This is a problem. Before I start the rant, I need them to go away. Other than that, we have no big plans. Hold on. Battling hiccups used to be a daily thing on this show, and then it stopped. And since we moved to the new studio, I haven't had hiccups once. And now today they're here, and they're here ferociously. Hey, you know what I did last night before we start the rant? I'll tell you what I did since we're small. talking. God damn it. There's nothing to watch. I can't find anything to watch. I don't know if it's just because we're in the decline of an era of television that I'll call peak TV, which I believe started in the late 90s and ran through about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. Peak TV. I'd say the end of Game of Thrones. I'd say the first episode of Oz on HBO is the start of peak TV. And then the end is the final episode of of Game of Thrones. So anyway, maybe I'm just spoiled and there's just not as good stuff out there anymore, but I can't find anything to watch. So I went back and I watched something that I saw years ago. 5 years ago now. I think it's been out 5 years, so it's a 5-year-old movie. So I saw it when it was first released. Have you guys ever seen The Dirt, the Motley Crue movie on Netflix? I mean, I like Motley Crue. I've grown fonder of Motley Crue over the years. Hi, Gary. Gary's here. Sorry, Gary. We're having we'll call him chickups. Why not? Got my brain scrambled. So I watched The Dirt on Netflix again. And I watched it originally. And I wasn't a fan of Motley Crue. Like when I was 17, 18, 19. I wasn't, I don't know. It just wasn't the people who liked Motley Crue were not the people I wanted to party with. You know, they just seemed like, that's going to be trouble. That's not going to be fun. But as I got older, and especially, this happens with a lot of bands with me. As I got older and I started working in radio and entertainment, I started to recognize that, man, I was just dumb. There's just like really good stuff out there that I didn't allow myself to fully enjoy in the moment. So I feel that way about Motley Crue. I like Motley Crue now. They're funny. Like there's a lot of shit about them that just is like stupid and all that, but they're undeniably, they wrote great rock and roll pop songs. And that's what they are. They're rock and roll pop songs. You can call them metal, you can call them whatever you want, but they're rock and roll pop songs of the era. So I watched The Dirt, which is the Netflix film about Motley Crue. It's terrible. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I watched the whole thing again for a second time. But as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how bad this movie is, how schlocky this movie is, how corny this movie is, how cringy this movie is. It's like cartoon versions of what we imagine their life was like. And it turns out they wrote it, right? So like the Motley Crue movie that I want to see is the Motley Crue movie that isn't written by guys in Motley Crue. I want the movie that's written by people who watched it and didn't enjoy it and aren't trying to paint their legacy as, what's this crazy wild guy? You know, I want to see more. It was called The Dirt, but really it was everything that was like bad was like rock and roll glamorous bad. You know, it wasn't, I guess they showed Tommy beating a girl, right? I guess that was the thing, but whatever. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It's fun. And it reminds you, that movie, The Dirt on Netflix, it reminds you that, man, Motley Crue had a lot of hits, and they were really, really big. All right, so there you go. That's what I watched last night. I don't feel like my hiccups are being subsided by me just randomly talking about other things. Peter says, my wife loves that movie. Yeah, man, I can see why you'd love it. I mean, it's a bad movie. It's not a good movie. Like, there's a difference between the Motley Crue biofilm and the Queen one, right? there's a difference. You get difference in stature, different in budget. The acting. First of all, I don't know who any of those people in the damn Motley Crue Netflix movie is. I've never seen them before. Maybe if I looked them up, maybe I'd go, oh, that's the guy from that thing. But they were all very bad, or they were either very bad actors or the dialogue was so corny that you just couldn't sell it. Anyway, Motley Crue, The Dirt. Let's say hi. We've got Chuckles in the chat room. Hi, Chuckles. Appreciate you. Gary's here. Peter's here. April's here. Jeff's here. Let's keep moving. These hiccups are not going away, you guys. Usually they're gone by now. Usually if I just change the subject. Hi, Bill. Hi, Barney. Hi, Byron. Hi, Jeff. All right. Who else? We got, where's the early ones? Jen's here, of course. No Taronda. Don't see Taronda today. This is really rough. Hi, Frank. There you go. Everybody say hi. Trying to say hello to people. Hiccups. I still got hiccups. This sucks. But we're going to go anyway, all right? We're going to get started. We've explained everything that needs to be explained about the show. Let's hit the ground running. Here we go. It is the High Noon Rant for the 9th. Fuck. Why did I put 9? All right, no, I got it. It's the 10th. All right, very good. Hold on. Why did I put the 9th? That was almost a really bad start. Hold on, let me try something. Give me a second here, folks, and then we'll get rolling. And once we get rolling, train kept a rolling all night long. Train kept a rolling. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. It is the 10th day of May, year of our Lord, 2024. May 10th is the 131st day of the year. What does that mean? Leap year calculations, 235 more days until the end of the year. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's get started ourselves, shall we? Got them bunchy today. Still battling the allergies. Antecedently on this day, Q1 in full effect. This day in history, if you will. Antecedently on this day in 1773, the Parliament of Great Britain passes the Tea Act, which was designed to save the British East India Company by reducing taxes on its tea and granting it the right to sell tea directly to North America. This legislation, of course, led to the Boston Tea Party. Sons of bitches. On this day, antecedently in 1775, American Revolutionary War. That's right. The Boston Tea Party set it all off. A small colonial militia led by Ethan Allen, fine furniture maker, and Benedict Arnold capture Fort Ticonderoga. Why is this big? This is a very big and important moment in the American Revolution. This is why we know who Ethan Allen is. And if it weren't for things he did later in his career, this would be why we knew who Benedict Arnold is. Benedict Arnold is a widely misunderstood character in the history of the American Revolution. Was he a traitor? Yes. Was he a money-grubbing pig of a man? Yes, he was. And that's why he was a traitor. He was a traitor because he was a general and he wasn't getting paid. And he had a wife who was like a money-grubbing Philadelphia socialite, and she was putting pressure on him. And his wife's family had connections with the British, former... The wife's rich family wasn't with the revolution, if you know what I mean. So they put him in touch with some British guys, and the British guys paid him what the colonial army owed him. And they paid him more for information on what he was seeing and what he was doing. Benedict Arnold was one of George Washington's most trusted generals. It was a betrayal of the highest order. And that's what we know him for. And that is what we should know him for. But if that hadn't happened, and this is, men are complicated. Great men lead complicated lives. He was a hero. He and Ethan Allen were the dudes. He also like crushed his hip at the Battle of Fort Ticonderoga. He was a hero. He was a legitimate hero and a brilliant battlefield strategist and a guy of just unmatched courage, they said. And then he wanted his money. And what happened? Yeah, that's right. That was on this day. On this day, antecedently in 1849, the Astor Place riot. This is crazy. This is a riot that broke out at the Astor Opera House in New York City, Manhattan. It was the big fancy center of town back in the day. Back in the day being 1849. The Astor Place riot killed 22 people and injured over 120 others. And you know what it was all about? 2 actors got into a fight. 2 actors, and not just 2 no-name actors, 2 of the biggest actors of the age. A dude by the name of Edwin Forrest, who was widely considered to be the greatest actor in the Americas, and he was this and that, and he was something special. Well, he was there at the Astor House that night. But also at the Astor House that night was a guy named William Charles Macready. William Charles Macready was the greatest Shakespearean actor that England had ever produced. So you had these two like apex actors, and they got into a fight over who was better at doing Shakespeare. And the end result from these two stupid, bitchy actors is that 22 people died and 120 people went to the hospital. Astor Place riots on this day. A couple of fruity, over dramatic actors. And you know, they were like, you know, they were just like with gloves and stuff. But then it's the other people. No, I think Forrest is better. No, McCready's the best. And then a riot broke out. Absurd. Let's see here. Oh, here's a little note about the riot. The riot resulted in the largest number of civilian casualties due to military action. They called them military in. It was the largest number of dead since the Revolutionary War, and it led to increased police militarization. Its ostensible genesis was a dispute between Edwin Forrest, one of the best-known American actors of the time, and William Charles McCready, a similarly notable English actor renowned for his works with Shakespeare. The argument largely revolved around which of them was better than the other at acting the major roles of Shakespeare. The Astor Place riots on this day in 1849. On this day antecedently in 1869, the first transcontinental railroad, the Golden Spike, they nailed that today. You know, that big thing. It's a big thing. Remember, that's why we got, my grandpa told me this once. And I don't think he's altogether wrong, but it's just the way he said it. He looked at me and he said, that's why we have all these Chinamen in the country now. There was something about this on TV, you know, the pounding of the transcontinental spike, the Golden Spike that connected the rail line from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I'll never remember my grandpa going, that's why we have Chinamen now. Like, I don't think he's wrong. I mean, that was a very big reason that people from China immigrated to the United States, was to work on the Transcontinental Railroad. But it was just funny. Moving on, antecedently, on this day in 1908, the very first Mother's Day is observed in Grafton, West Virginia. Don't know why that's the origin of Mother's Day. Seems like mothers were in every town in every state. But it started in Grafton, West Virginia. On this day in 1908, Mother's Day is Sunday. I don't know what the rest of you people are doing. I don't know what second place does for Mother's Day. I mean, my mother's the first place mom. So you guys, I'm sure your moms are great. You can battle it out between yourselves to determine who second place is. I'm sticking with mine. Mine is number one. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. On this day, antecedently, in 1924, J. Edgar Hoover is appointed first director of the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation. Didn't even exist. Wasn't even a thing. He just went, hey, what if I spy on famous people? Nah, that's probably not how the pitch went. But it sounds like it could be based on what he did for the next 60 years. Hoover was evil. J. Edgar was a weird, little, power-drunk, evil man. On this day, antecedently in 1941, World War II, Rudolf Hess parachutes into Scotland to try and negotiate a peace deal between the United Kingdom and Nazi Germany. This is one of the, not a lot of funny moments in World War II, and certainly not a lot of funny moments coming from the Germans. But this was one of the funny moments. Rudolf Hess was he saw the way this was going, and he also saw that Hitler was fucking nuts, and there was like no way that you could rein him in. He had gone off the deep end. So Rudolf Hess came up with a plan on his own where he was going to take a plane, and he was going through back channels. He was going to make contact with British envoys, if you will, and he was going to take a plane. He was going to fly it over enemy territory, Scotland, and then he was going to bail out, parachute. I mean, this is a dude who had a plan. He was going to bail out of the plane, and then he was going to be met there by these envoys through back channels, and he was going to secretly negotiate an end to the war on behalf of Germany. That didn't work. He landed in a field, and a dude with a shotgun found him, and he got arrested by the local people, and then it became public news that he had done it. So any back channel negotiations were now done because it was global front page news, because some little jail in Scotland was holding one of the most powerful Nazis on the planet. So that all went to hell. Yeah. Story of the very funny Rudolf Hess on this day tried to end the war, and it didn't go well for him. Antecedently, on this day in 1975, Sony introduces the Betamax video cassette recorder. You guys old enough, you kids old enough to remember the Betamax? When the VHS first came into play, there were these big, giant, clunky machines that sat next to the TV. They were huge. And there were two kinds. There was VHS, which were these big clunky tapes. And then there was Betamax, which were these smaller tapes. They looked more futuristic. Betamax was Sony, and VHS was JVC. Yeah, I think it was JVC. And they were at war. What was going to be the standardized VHS? When you walked into a Blockbuster, which didn't exist yet, but when you walked into your local video store, what kind of video was that video store going to be stocking? Were they going to be stocked? Movies, were they going to be printed on Betamax? Were they going to be printed on VHS? I think the thing about VHS was that it was allowed for more tape. It was cheaper. And I think that Betamax was better sound. Betamax had great sound. That was like a big thing that the Japanese were into. So Betamax had superior sound. And it came down to porno. Came down to the porno producers. Because very early on, they realized that home video was going to be big in porn. It was going to explode the porn industry. And whatever format, be it VHS or Betamax, that the porn industry decided to go with was going to be the dominant format. Everybody was going to buy the VHS player that could play porno movies. And that was VHS. And that's how VHS destroyed the Betamax, which by radio stations were like the only thing that I think were using Betamax into the 2000s. All radio shows were recorded on Betamax throughout the 90s and all of that stuff. You used to have to go through all those old Betamaxes. On this day in 1975, Sony introduces the Betamax. On this day in 1994, antecedently, as we say, Nelson Mandela is inaugurated as South Africa's first black president. Let's move on. It is now time for us to do birthdays. One. They say it's their birthday. We don't have the rights to music. We can't play music. Every time I play music, they black out the show. So I got to sing the songs, and I hope you're okay with that. Birthdays born on this day. All right, here's an interesting one. All right, it's going to take me a second here because I got to pull this up. I want to show you this dude. This dude is a fun fact of history. Boom, hold on. Just give me a second. I didn't open up the proper page and now I'm paying for it. Or actually, more to the point, you're paying for it because you're having to sit here and watch me do nothing. Okay, so born on this day, we're doing some birthdays here. Born on this day, a guy by the name of George Coe. Okay, George Coe was born on this day in 1929. I don't think you know who George Coe is, but if I'm going to show him to you, and you're going to go, "Oh yeah, I know who that guy is." But here's the thing about George Coe that nobody knows. Absolutely nobody knows. I'm the only person on the planet that knows this. Some people know, of course. It's a little known thing. Make sure I get this up for you. There we go. Okay. This is George Coe. This is George Coe in 1975. Okay. That's George Coe in 1975. George Coe is the forgotten original not ready for primetime player on Saturday Night Live. That was the name of the original cast of Saturday Night Live in its original year. They were the not ready for primetime players. And George Coe only appeared in one episode, the very first episode. His name only appeared in the cast as a regular cast member for one episode, the first episode. This is a picture from that episode where George Coe performed. Who was George Coe? George Coe was a stage actor. He was a Broadway star. He wasn't a big movie star or TV star yet, but he was a Broadway star. And I guess he was funny. He had some comedy chops. And the network, NBC, demanded that Lorne Michaels had cast all these people, John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Laurie Newman, Jane Curtin, Garrett Morris, all these people. And the network looked at these people and went, these are a bunch of drug addicted hippies. No, there needs to be somebody on this show that, middle American can go, that's a guy like me. So they shoehorned this dude, George Coe, into the show. And he was supposed to be the older guy. And Lorne Michaels originally justified it with, well, all right, we can have him play authority figures. We could have him play older men. And you see here, he's playing this guy. Now, George Coe never appeared in another Saturday Night Live. It was after the first episode that Lorne Michaels was able to kind of rid himself of this forced cast member. There's him right there. Now, I want to say that's what he looks like in later years. Now, he had gone on to do all kinds of shit. Nothing that he's, known for. But look at this guy. This guy has been in all kinds of TV from the 90s. There he is doing a first episode Saturday Night Live thing. Here, let's get some pictures of him. This guy right here, you've seen him. That's George Coe. He died. No, he didn't die today. He was born today. He was one of the original Saturday Night Live people. I think that's one of those things that's only interesting to me. Born on this day in 1946, Donovan, Scottish singer. Don't know from Donovan. I know he's got a bunch of songs. I know that Donovan's got They Call Me Mellow Yellow, right? But they call me. He got that song, Sunshine Superman, right? That's another. Hurdy-gurdy man. He got hits. Donovan is actually quite well respected, if not reflected in commercial success. He is very widely acclaimed as an artist. Now, that's all fine and well and good. He wasn't really a part of my generation. I just know a couple of those songs in there. That Mellow Yellow is kind of a banger, quite rightly. But here's why I respect Donovan. Donovan is the father of Ione Skye. Do you guys remember? No, of course you don't remember Ione Skye. I'm going to have to show you guys Ione Skye. Ione Skye was like an early love of my life. The first time I saw Ione Skye, I think it was in a movie called The Rachel Papers. Yeah, there you go. The Rachel Papers, which was a stupid British movie that was on cable all the time back in like the late 80s. What else was she in? Is she Ione Skye? Is she the girl from Say Anything? I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, this is her. This is Donovan's daughter. She would go on to have, I don't know, a couple of years worth of success. I wouldn't say that she, is not a big star, but Gen X remembers her. Gen X boys certainly remember her. Let's get a look at Ione Skye today. Here we go. Ione Skye today. All right. Still pretty. Still a pretty woman. Absolutely. I should be so lucky. I want to see her back in the day. Show me her back in the day because she was something. She was good. Look at that. That's some Full Metal 80s Ione Skye. Boy, oh boy. Toothy. Don't think I ever realized how toothy she was. There she is. That's her. That's the one we remember. She's the perfect girlfriend in 1987. Are you kidding me? Look at her. All right, that's Donovan's daughter. Happy birthday, Donovan. They call it Mellow. Donovan's not the only one. We're going to go on a run here of people celebrating birthdays who are some very big and well-accomplished names in the world of popular music. Like this next guy, Dave Mason. Dave Mason from Traffic. I'm feeling all right. Whoa, not feel too good myself. Come on, Traffic. Dave Mason, banger. But also, Dave Mason then went solo and created one of the most cringy, cornball, sappy love songs of all time. It's so the opposite of everything that he did with Traffic. It's a little bit confusing. It was that song. What was that song? So just leave it alone, 'cause we can't see eye to eye. That one? There ain't no good times. There's only you and me. Oh God, that song. Ugh. There's only you and me, and we just disagree. No. Tell you what would disagree on that song. That song sucks. Born on this day in 1946, Dave Mason. Born on this day in 1955. How about Chris Berman? Chris Berman. He's fun. He's a football guy, but he didn't write many great songs, so we're going to move on. Happy birthday, Chris Berman. Born on this day in 1955. Here's a dude that also didn't write many good songs, but he killed a guy who did. Mark David Chapman. Born on this day. What? No, we don't give applause to the man who shot and killed John Lennon. Mark David Chapman, born on this day in 1955. Not to be confused with, this show's preferred assassin, because we like our assassins failed. That would be John Hinckley. John Hinckley, America's greatest failed assassin. I used to always confuse him with Mark David Chapman. Like I used to have to stop and go like, wait, which one killed Lennon? Which one shot Reagan? The one who killed Lennon, born on this day, Mark David Chapman, 1955. Born on this day in 1957. Here's another guy who's in the music realm, a big name, an important name, somebody who was fairly influential, I think you could say. Didn't write any songs. Hell, he could barely stand upright. On this day, born Sidney Aloysius Vicious. Sid Vicious. I don't know what his real name is. His real name is probably like Mark John Humphreys or something. It's English, so it's something like that. Sid Vicious, born on this day, Sex Pistols, 1957. Born on this day in 1960. Here's a big one, Bono. Bono of U2, born on this day. I mean, that's Dave Mason, Donovan. You got Sid Vicious. You got Bono. That's pretty good. Pretty good run. There you go. Bono of U2, born on this day in 1960. Born on this day in 1978. We'll finish it out the birthdays with Kenan Thompson. Oh, that guy got himself a career, huh? I mean, I really, the dude from Good Burger, the dude from, I don't know. I bet he's got some stories too, because he was in that whole Nickelodeon child actor kind of machine that they'd created where everybody was getting diddled. Not everybody, but certain people were getting diddled. The cute ones. I wonder if Kenan has any stories on that. I don't know. Kenan Thompson. I remember for the first 10 years he was on Saturday Night Live, I was wholly dismissive of him. I thought he was like, nah. He was on for a while with Tracy Morgan, and it was always like, okay, Tracy Morgan is the edgy, scary, urban comic, and then Kenan is like the urban comic who's not really urban at all, just very, just kind of himself. And I think that and that's my own bias, right? I'm like, because I'm looking at it like there's two black guys on this show. And, not that I had a problem with it, but I'm saying here's the difference between the two black guys, as if all black guys are going to be the same anyway. That was wrong. It was. And it took me a couple of years to realize that, man, Kenan Thompson is brilliant. Kenan Thompson is just doing his own thing. And because he didn't fit into a box that I had created that I wanted him to fit into, I was dismissive of him for the first few years. I was also that way with Bill Hader. I was dismissive of Bill Hader. I thought he was trying too hard. Chris Farley, too. Didn't like Chris Farley at first. Thought he was trying way too hard to be Belushi. Anyway, Kenan Thompson, he's actually really great. Happy birthday, Kenan Thompson. All right, that's going to do it. Quarter 2 is in the books. Now we move forward into the deads. Let's talk about people who have passed away on this day. Let's decide. Let's open up their life's resume and figure out if they went to heaven or hell. The first one, dead on this day in 1818, Paul Revere. That's right. The British are coming. Paul Revere. Now, I'm always very critical of Paul Revere because I don't appreciate fully why it is that Paul Revere is the one that we always talk about when there were like 8 or 10 or 12 or something riders who set out on that night to warn the rural countryside that the British were coming. But somehow Paul Revere is the one that gets all the credit. Again, Israel Bissell, Sybil Ludington. Okay, there's others, but those are the other two that I can off the top of my head that rode on the midnight ride in different directions than Paul Revere, and history is completely forgotten. But that in and of itself is not reason to ban the man to hell. He's Paul Revere. What has Paul Revere meant to us, the great American citizenry? He's meant a lot. And so for that, he goes, he's going to heaven. We're going to put Paul Revere in heaven. Because America. Dead on this day in 1977, Joan Crawford. Oh, well, I think we know where. See? Joan Crawford. What's my rule? Actresses. Without the benefit of any outside deeds or knowledge, all actresses get put in hell. That's it. They're just crazy. All actresses are crazy. And Joan Crawford, Joan Crawford is a case of an actress who's crazy, but we also have historical documentation of her craziness in the form of her daughter, Christina Crawford, who, of course, was the subject or wrote the book Mommy Dearest and then the movie Mommy Dearest about how nuts Joan Crawford was. So, yeah, Joan Crawford goes to hell. Just terrible, entitled. Ugh. Oh, but also, and this needs to be made clear as well. Joan Crawford herself, she's like run away at 12. Married at 13, divorced at 15, married again at 16, divorced again at 17. She was like really, really bad, like treated poorly. Joan Crawford's life was not easy until she became Joan Crawford. And then she just became a monster bitch to everybody when she became Joan Crawford. So for that, she's going to hell. Here's another one. Let's do this right away before I even mention this fucking monster's name, the boogeyman of my childhood. He died on this day in 1994. Of course, I'm speaking of John Wayne Gacy. Pogo the Clown, John Wayne Gacy, died on this day in 1994, and yours truly was there. That's right, I was there. I was reporting for a radio station I was working at the time. They put him down, as we like to say, at Stateville Prison in Joliet, Illinois on this day in 1994. Now, when I say I was there, I wasn't in the room. I didn't get to watch. That would have been really cool. No, there was a very large gathering of people who were gathered outside the prison. Some were anti-death penalty people, but the vast majority, and I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of people, were just there to party. Because what Gacy represented, especially to the people of my generation in the Chicago area, Gacy was the boogeyman. Gacy was Freddy Krueger. Gacy was, I was 7 years old when they started pulling kids out of his walls, right? What do you think that did to me? 2 towns over. This guy's just rolling around my neighborhood or the city or whatever, however you want to look at 2 towns over. Des Plaines was a little bit further. It's a western suburb. I was southwestern suburbs, but at that point. But my point is, it was too close for comfort for an 8-year-old who had to go to sleep in a dark bedroom, right? So there was a celebratory thing when Gacy got put down because, again, there was no doubt about this dude. This wasn't like, well, DNA has come out now and says that John Wayne Gacy didn't. He owned the house. He was a construction guy. He buried the bodies in his house. He did horrible things. We heard horrible stories about what he did. So fuck John Wayne Gacy, the boogeyman of my childhood. Let's see here. Also, dead on this day. Here's one we're going to put in heaven. We're going to put this guy in heaven because although I don't know much about him personally, I do think that he's contributed greatly to the joy of a lot of people. So let's say, welcome to heaven, Carroll Shelby. Carroll Shelby, 1, great Texan. That means something. Carroll Shelby, 2, apparently he was a cool guy. Like, I don't know him. I know people who knew him, and they say he's a cool guy, so that's good enough for me. But, of course, the Shelby Cobra, the Mustang, Carl Shelby, car design, legendary American car designer. And I believe he, died and lived most of his life just, up 75, up near Sherman. Carl Shelby. Great man, going to heaven. Dead on this day in 22. He's also a race car driver. That should be mentioned. He's not only a car designer and all that, and, responsible for how cool the Mustang was over the years. He was also a driver. He was also a race car driver, but way back in the day. Carroll Shelby gets invited into heaven. Dead on this day in 2012. All right, guys, that's going to do it. That's the first 3 quarters of the show. It's now time where we move into the nuts and bolts. This is where we also remind you the show does run on your tip. So if you're so inclined, help out the show. These are all the big issues that are shaping our world today. The stuff people are buzzing about, what you're hearing about on the TV box, headlines, whatever it is. What's happening on the TV box? Oh, CNN's in the commercial. And because it's a smart TV, it just goes blank, which I kind of like, although not really. It's a complicated situation. I don't know if you watch TV channels on smart TVs, but they don't show network TV commercials. They sometimes drop their own in, but most of the time it looks like this for the duration of the commercial break. I don't know how I feel about it. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. All right, big story today. The big one that's happening right now. I don't know if this is... That was weird. My phone just activated on its own. Maybe that's related to this story. It should have already happened, or at least began to happen. We might get knocked off the air. But the sun on Wednesday unexpectedly vomited or, ejaculated, whatever you want to say. But it went bleh, and it spit out a bunch of solar flares. And what I don't like about it is unexpectedly. Fuck, man. I need my scientists to know everything about the sun because I don't know much about things, but I know that the sun is important. I know that essentially I need them to know more about the sun is my point. I can't learn about the sun. I don't have time for that. I need there to be people who have dedicated their entire lives. So when something unexpected with the sun happens, it frightens me. And it should frighten you all, except you're all way better adjusted than I am. So you're not frightened by it. The world has been told, here's the headline, the world has been told to brace for severe geomagnetic storm today, the first in nearly 20 years, which could bring chaos to mobile phone networks, GPS satellites, and power grids. The uncommonly powerful solar flare is expected to hit around midday Friday. It follows a series of solar flares that began on Wednesday, tipping officials off. And I don't like that the solar flares that happened were something that tipped people off. So you didn't know the solar flares were I don't know, man. Shouldn't they know this stuff? Don't we just believe that they know that? Don't we trust, I should say, that they know this stuff? Because, hey, look at that. The sun's ripping in half. I wonder what that's going to do to the football season. It's the prospective storm could cause disruptions to GPS, mobile providers, internet, and power grids. Oh, so, nothing important. Nothing important. They're letting us know. So far, nothing, though. We're still streaming okay, right? It looks like we are. Hi, Rob. Rob's here. My guy, Rob. Al says, look up Carrington event. Well, I don't have time, but I will look it up later today. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it. Dustin is talking about Carl Shelby. He says the Dodge Omni GLH was another Shelby classic. The Dodge Omni. I had a Dodge Omni. I don't know if I had a Dodge Omni or a Plymouth Horizon. They were the same car. They were the exact same car with two different names. And I truly do not remember if I had a Dodge Omni or a Plymouth Horizon. I think it was a Dodge Omni. But I will tell you this about that car. That next to, I had a Celica GT later in life. And then I had an Infiniti G35 even later in life. But that Dodge Omni, man, that was like driving a go-kart. I loved that car. That car, you could whip around. I just loved that car. I'm not gonna lie. The Celica probably was best handler. Then the G35 was the fastest. That was. But that Dodge Omni, man, I would drive that Dodge Omni today. The way I used to whip. I delivered pizzas in that car when I was a teenager. That car was kind of awesome. Yeah. All right. Pour one out for the Dodge Omni. Why not? Anyway, back to the end of the world, because that's what we're talking about. I love going down memory lane with Dustin, but we're talking about the end of the world. Solar flares. The sun went, which, by the way, did you recognize? I don't have hiccups anymore. Don't know how long it's been. They just went away because I stopped thinking about it. A rare and powerful solar storm may occur in outer space today, in which could wreak havoc on Earth. This is officials have warned. It's the first in nearly 20 years. At least 5 streams of plasma, known as coronal mass ejections. Hey, that's what she said. I don't even know if that makes sense. My son, that's a running joke line with my kid and I. Doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to be like something that can be tagged with. That's what she said. And that's kind of the joke. Anyway, moving on. At least 5 streams of plasma, known as coronal mass ejections, are heading towards Earth, prompting the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to issue a severe geomagnetic storm watch for Friday, carrying over into the weekend. This is the first such alert since 2005, when Earth was hit with the highest doses of radiation in half a century. So what is that? I don't even know what that means. This time around, the unusual event could disrupt electronic devices like GPS and mobile phones. It will also affect parts of power grids, NOAA said, while citing how it may also drape a huge portion of the country as far south as Alabama, IA, in colorful natural lighting. So I guess got to look up in the sky. I think we're too far south. Although, are we more? Is North Texas more north than Alabama? Because then maybe we could see the pretty lights from our impending doom, from the loogie that the sun spit at us. That's probably the best. It's a loogie. The sun went, and now it's incoming. Officials explained how the expulsions of matter and magnetic field from the celestial body's atmosphere could cause problems for millions of Earthlings as soon as noon Friday. Problems. See, here's the thing. Problems. Okay, cell phone, internet disruptions. I understand all of that. But if this thing was incoming and we were all going to be dead by 5 o'clock tonight, do you think they'd tell us the truth? Or do you think they'd say, you're going to have, it's happening. You're going to see the sky. It's all going to light up. It's going to be red. They wouldn't tell us. Although here's what I would think. It would get out. It would get out. Like, what do you mean they're not going to tell? What? It would get out somehow. Somebody who works in the lab is going to call a family member and have an emotional breakdown, and he's going to tell people, and then all of a sudden it's going to be on Twitter. And but then we won't believe it because it'll be on Twitter. Made me jump. political calls. You guys still getting political calls? Still getting, I guess they're about to ramp up. I get political calls all the time. Anyway, we're all about to die. Yay! Trump trial's going on. Trump trial's done for the day, though. Why? Because it's Friday and they had to end by 11 a.m. Really? Half day? You take a couple days off during the week? This, you know what? The American trial system, it just seems so... Can we just streamline it? Can somebody come in and just kind of fix it? Because this is stupid. It's just so dumb. This thing's going to take forever. Can we get this trial over with? Can we just move on to the next one? Trump trial. Stormy Daniels cross-examination yesterday. Anything new come out? I don't know. I don't know if it was good for the... I don't know who's winning. Does anybody know who's winning? Actually, people who listen to folks who are actually doing streams on the Trump trial, they probably know who's winning. I don't care. I already know what I think. And, whether it bears out that way, whether justice works, we'll see. Moving on, tornadoes. Got a lot of tornadoes happening. Did you know that we are setting records for tornadoes? Why can't I say that? We're setting records for tornadoes here in the United States this year. That's right. We are way above average. There have been, what is this crazy stat? Hold on, there's a crazy tornado stat. Let me see if I got it for you. There has been at least one major tornado in America every day for the last 2 months. That is not true. I made that up. I couldn't find the actual stat. It's a little bit bigger than the actual stat, but it's been something like for 2 weeks in a row, there's been a major tornado. It started in Utah, of all places. A whirling tendril of air descended from... I don't care about your beautiful writing. I really don't. Just get me to the facts. A tornado frenzy is ongoing in the United States. At least one has been reported every day since the morning of April 25th. A more than 2-week streak where there have been one major reported tornado causing damage. Oh my God. April and May. Okay. That's crazy. So it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks we've had major tornadoes every single day for 2 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I got to remember what tornado season was like last year. I don't know. It seems like we just always have tornadoes. Well, I haven't heard any tornado sirens here. And, I haven't heard them yet. So, lucky. Knock wood, I guess. April and May are typically the busiest months for tornadoes in the United States. Earth's tornado epicenter. But the pace since April has been exceptional. So we're on a 2,000 tornado pace. That's never been done before. They're thinking we could cross over 2,000 tornadoes for the year. Typically, it's about 1,500. The U.S. was behind the typical tornado pace before this streak started. But after more than 300 tornado reports, it is now above it. I don't know what that means. Anyway, look out for tornadoes. They're coming. Tornadoes. Solar flares, tornadoes. Yeah, I'm just a bundle of good news today, aren't I? Okay, let's move on. We've been following the story of Eden Golan, who is the Eurovision contestant from Israel. Eurovision, we talk about that. It's like American Idol, except every country writes a song, and then they all play their songs, and then all of Europe decides what's the best song. So Eurovision, been around since 1952. This Eden Golan, she's a girl. She's a pop singer. She is, to make things even more complicated, she's a very well-known Russian pop singer of Ukraine descent. So she's already polarizing for that reason. And now she's there at Eurovision representing Israel because she's also got Israeli citizenship. She's representing Israel, and she's singing a song called Hurricane, which is about, the October 7th stuff. And, look, there are Palestinian protests going on all over the place. And this poor woman, this girl, Eden, she's being booed. She can't have this. Here's what she's got to go through. First of all, she had to move hotels every day. Every day she had to move to a different hotel. And now they found that was completely untenable. So she is no longer moving hotels. She has to live at the Israeli embassy. She is at the Israeli embassy. She is surrounded by just a wing of well-armed Israeli commandos at all time. She can't go anywhere. She can't go on the street. She has to be snuck into the venue. When she comes out, people in the venue, we saw yesterday, we listened to, the people booing. Boo, because we don't like her or whatever. So last night, hell, it may have even been during the show yesterday. I don't know what the time difference is. And I don't even know where this Eurovision contest is being held. But last night she competed. She was in 8th place going into this round. In 8th place, and she was on the verge of elimination. After last night's performance of Hurricane, Eden Golan is now in 2nd place. She has shot up in the Eurovision contest rankings to second place. Here we got some video. We'll show this. I have to tell you, I've heard the song a bunch of times. It ain't my cup of tea. It ain't like my kind of thing. Sounds like, something that, Rihanna or Adele or something like that might do. Or maybe even Celine Dion. I don't know. Here's what I did notice about the song. It's a versatile song. Like I could hear that song in a production, like a studio with a producer who knows what he's doing. I could hear that song as country. I could hear that song as metal. I could hear that song as hip hop. I could hear that song. I mean, it's a very versatile song. It just seems that the production that they're doing on it here seems a little they're going for Adele, Celine Dion version of the song. But here we've actually got her performance from last night, and I think it's TV quality. So we'll get a better idea of what this chick looks like. Because yesterday it was crowd video of people booing her. Yeah, oh, here's the video. Okay, here we go. Here's the video. Yeah, let's watch this. I'm telling you, it's not a bad song. It is not a bad song. And I say that because I've now heard the song like half a dozen times. I believe that you can't hear a song only once. I believe that there are only a few songs in your life that you heard once and knew were great. I can tell you, for me, that was Smells Like Teen Spirit. I know the first time I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit, I know exactly where I was. And I remember thinking, what the hell is this? Whoa. I was on 88, Interstate 88. I was driving back from DeKalb, and I was, my buddy Mike was in the car with me. We were going, I don't know what we were doing. It was a Saturday. It was a Saturday morning around 11 o'clock. We were driving back from Northern Illinois University back to wherever we're from. And I remember that song came on, and I was like, what? And I couldn't believe it. Anyway, this Eden song, this hurricane song that this Eden Golan, the Israeli entry, is singing. It took me a couple of times because I was very dismissive of it. And I was like, It took me a couple of times. But I'm telling you, I think it's a banger. I think it's a good song. I think it's got a great chorus. I think considering what it's about and who she is and what she's going through and what she's singing, I think it's pretty powerful. So let's give it a look. This is what shot her up. This was the performance by Eden Golan last night on Eurovision, which again is Europe's sort of American Idol type thing, except it existed for 50 years before American Idol. This was Eden Golan last night performing at Eurovision. Here we go. Shot up from 8th place to 2nd place after this.
Symphony, play with me, look into my eyes and see. People walk away but never say goodbye. Someone stole the moon tonight, took my light. Everything is black and white. Who's the fool who told you boys don't cry? Hours and hours and powers. Life is no game but it's ours. Why? The time goes wild. Every day I'm losing my mind, holding on in this mysterious ride, dancing in the storm. I got nothing to hide. Take it all and leave the world behind. Baby, promise me you'll hold me again. I'm still broken from this hurricane. This hurricane. Living in a fantasy, ecstasy. Everything is meant to be. We shall pass, but love will never die. Hours and hours and powers. Life is no game, but it's ours. Why? The time goes wild. Every day I'm losing my mind, holding on in this mysterious ride, dancing in the storm. I got nothing to hide. Take it all and קשה לראות, תמיד אתה משאיר לי אור אחד קטן. Thank you so much!
Okay. That was wild. That was wild. Let me give you the context now. So immediately following that, you have to understand that everybody is telling her, don't perform, don't perform, don't perform. Eurovision is saying you can perform if you choose to perform. And she's like, I'll perform. Immediately following that, here, I have the story here. Let me grab it. Immediately following that, she was whisked off stage, immediately surrounded by armed guards, rushed into a bomb-proof vehicle, and then rushed back to the Israeli embassy. She didn't get a chance to shake anybody's hand or say thank you. She was standing there in that crowd knowing that there could have been any number of people who were just there simply to kill her, whether it was to rush up on stage, whether it was to shoot, somebody smuggles a bomb in. That's a brave bitch, man. She gave that performance and she sang the shit out of that. That's impressive. That ain't just some stupid chick on American Idol singing a song because she wants to be famous. That's a woman doing that at risk of like imminent death. I mean, it's not out of the realm of speculation that maybe not today, but in 3 weeks we get a news blurb. Eden Golan assassinated on the streets of, you know what I mean? I mean, she is just really putting herself out there for, I don't know, her country. And it's moving. Like, no matter what you feel about what Israel is doing and what their politics are, that's not what she is. She's just a person. She's representing a country that went through something that for at least a couple of months, the whole globe was on the side of Israel going, oh my God, how terrible for Israel. We love them. We love them, And then that changed because, the war happened and then it gets more complicated. But man, it's just a girl. Oh, and by the way, on top of that, she's also on a Putin hit list. Like Putin wants her gone because she left Russia during the start of the Ukraine war and started making all these comments about Ukraine, which is where she's from. And then, she's got dual citizenship because her father is like an Israeli dude. Ugh, just impressive. Eden Golan. I don't even know if she can sing. Here's what I thought was funny about her. She doesn't speak English, and that song for some reason is written in English, or the words are in English. So her pronunciation of some of the slower parts, you can hear the accent, and I kind of like it. I kind of thought it at first it was distracting, but it's a good song. It's called Hurricane. Eden Golan. It is now in second place after a semifinal performance by that girl, Eden Golan, representing Israel in the Eurovision contest. All right, there you have it. That's the update on that. We'll follow her path. We'll see if she wins. She probably ain't gonna win. She probably ain't gonna win. I don't see how they allow her to win. She wins. That's just way too. That's just. I mean, you're just asking for trouble. I think the fact that she gets out of it alive is probably the victory the Eurovision promoters and producers are looking for. But it's, again, I don't know any of the other songs, so it's unfair of me to say that's a good song. I'm very unfamiliar with Eurovision, other than what's happening this year surrounding this particular contestant from Israel. All right, moving on. So I like to, from time to time, point out things that just piss me off about media, okay? Sketchy-ass fucking media. Media wants to know, I don't understand why people don't trust us. It's because maybe not to this extent at the highest levels, but the media will do whatever it takes to fucking trick us into thinking one thing, and then you get a story and it's something totally different. I want to show you something that stopped me in my tracks today. And then, of course, it wasn't what I thought it was. And that's why we're doing this now. All right, so here's the story. I want you to see this. Let me show you the headline. I'm fucking so pissed off. It even forced the person who was the subject of the deception to go on Twitter and say, hey, just so we're clear. Oh, what the fuck? I can't find it now? No, come on. I got to be able to find it. Okay, you know what? I can't find the damn headline, but I'm going to tell you what it said anyway. Well, actually, maybe I can find it here. Do I have it here? They took it down. It's gone. This page no longer exists. Fuckers, they got called out on it, and now it's gone. MSN, you piece of shit. I hope you fire that headline writer. Here's the headline. Here's the headline. NFL world shocked by sudden death of Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson. That was the headline. That was the headline today for hours. NFL world shocked at sudden passing of Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson. At forced Jimmy Johnson, the actual Jimmy Johnson, he's fine. Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, Dallas Cowboys legend, just one hell of a guy, Jimmy Johnson, who I really like. I really like Jimmy Johnson. And I think he's very misunderstood. He's alive and well. He's fine. You know who died? Some dude who played a couple of years in the league. I don't know, some old cornerback from the 49ers from like the 1960s died. His name was Jimmy Johnson. And the media, MSN specifically, deceived us with that headline. Why? So that they could probably, I don't know, gather a few extra clicks. Actually, not a few extra because I clicked on it. If the dude's name had been like Harold Davis, Hall of Fame, or NFL world mourns the loss of Hall of Famer Harold Davis, I wouldn't have clicked on that story. But because it said Jimmy Johnson and it said sudden, this dude who actually died was 88 years old. That's not sudden. That's not sudden. Now, Jimmy Johnson, who we all see from TV and we know he's active and all that kind of stuff, that you could describe as sudden because it's like, oh, he's seen well. We didn't know he was sick. But this other dude who's been out of the spotlight for 40 years, who just happens to share a name with Jimmy Johnson, they decided to trick us. MSN. I will never fucking forget. You're on the list now, MSN. Actually, if I'm being honest, MSN has been on the list for a long time. MSN.com for news is where stupid people get news, where people who don't want news get news. It's all shit. Anything dumb that I do on this show, like studies, like they have all these studies that they publish every day. The fattest states in America. That bullshit all comes from MSN. I absolutely hate that site for news gathering. Except for stuff at the end of the show where I think I can riff on it. But not actual news. Fuck you, MSN. Jimmy Johnson is not dead. Jimmy Johnson had to tweet. He tweeted this morning. I saw it. And he linked to a different story that also tried. This wasn't the MSN story. This was a different story. And he linked to it. Or maybe it was. I don't think it was, though. And he said, Jimmy Johnson was a great player, blah, 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 but he is not me, and I am still alive. And that's for clicks, to trick people into clicking. And then you have to read a full paragraph before it actually says that it's not that Jimmy Johnson. This guy was a cornerback for the 49ers. Sketchy ass media. Why don't people trust us like friends in media? Because of bullshit like that. But that's not me. I'm a news person. Yeah, okay. You also got breast implants and, you get your hair teased up and you're dressed sexy. You're just not trustworthy. You just don't come off as authentic. You come off like you're trying to manipulate us at every goddamn turn. That's why people don't trust the media. We need information. We need to know shit. We can't be everywhere all the time. There has to be a trusted source who can tell us what's happening and just the facts. But no, they're going to try and screw with it. They're going to try and waste my time by getting a simple click out of me because I think that Jimmy Johnson, the Dallas Cowboys coach, has suddenly died this morning. Hate it. Target is in the news today. Target. Why Target is in the news? Well, because you know what June is. June is coming up. June's just a couple of weeks away at this point. June is Pride Month. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Pride Month. Pride Month. Pride in my white skin. Pride. No, not that kind of pride. That's not what Pride Month is all about. Holy crap. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm distracted by something going on outside. Somebody's hot nanny is like walking the dog in a stroller, and she's got like Daisy Dukes on. Not looking because I'm not a creeper, but I stopped my window. She's going to go out like that. People are going to look because men are driven by sexual instincts. It has nothing really to do with us. Sure, we're like, oh, she's pretty. And then you look away because you were raised better than that, which is what I just did. Not a creep. Probably a creep. Probably a little bit of a creep. Target is in the news because Pride Week or Pride Month. That did always. It's like pride. Why is being prideful now? Associated with being gay. Why are they taking that away from the white man? Why are they taking that away from the straight white man? Is that a fat middle-aged dude who screams into a microphone every day for 2 hours? No, I got no problem with Pride. I've been to multiple Pride parades. Pride parades are some of the funnest parades you can go to. And I was going to Pride parades in the 90s, bitch. That's right. Kevin Matthews show. We had a Pride parade in the Chicago Pride Parade back in the 90s. We had a float. It was awesome. People who, again, I don't care. Ugh. What are you hanging out with all them gays for? Because you know what? It was fun and the beer was free and, I got paid to be there. There you go. That's it. It was an appearance. Yeah, but still had fun. We all looked forward to the Pride Parade week. So anyway, Pride Month is coming up. And if you remember what happened last year at Pride Month, well, maybe you do remember it, but none of you are listeners because one of the rules on this show is you can't have been kicked out of a Target. Okay, you're not allowed to listen to this show if you've been forcibly removed from a Target store, if you've been forcibly removed from an airplane, or if, for some reason you can't go to your family's Thanksgiving dinner anymore because of shit you said. If you check any of those boxes, you're not allowed to listen to this show. I'm sorry. But last year, Pride Month was marred by all kinds of hijinks going on at Target because Target decided, good capitalists, them Targets. They know what they're doing. Target saw a market. Target went, you know what? We need to make things that people want to buy. And since we're Target, we pretty much make everything that anybody would want to buy, but let's get hyper specific. Hey, what about them gays? Let's see if we can't get them gays into the store. So they put up a couple of Pride displays at Target stores. And there were a whole bunch of you emotional infants that couldn't handle that. Oh! And I feel comfortable talking about this because none of you are allowed to listen. Not allowed to listen. If you had a problem with that and you got kicked out. Now, look, having a problem with it, I guess I should make this distinction. Yeah, if you made a video or whatever, I don't want you listening. It's perfectly fine to walk past a Pride display and roll your eyes and go, okay, all right. Crass commercialization of someone's private bedroom activity. Whatever, that's fine. I mean, they don't, I don't know. It's bothersome. So Target last year, they were staying, firm. We are allies with the community, the alphabet community. And by the way, that's what I'm calling it from now on, the alphabet community, because they added new letters. Then they did it again. They added new letters. I'll get to that in a second. I don't even know what they are. I have no idea what the new letters are. But Target has announced that for this June, this Pride Month, they're going to scale back their Pride displays. They're not going to poke the tiger anymore. So yeah, like 800 stores that had Pride displays last year will not have them this year. And coincidentally, the stores where they're taking the Pride displays away are almost entirely in the South. Yeah. So we know the people who couldn't handle it, at least Target has decided, we didn't have any problems in New York, Chicago, Boston, Detroit, Philadelphia, where gay people are free and open and they run around. We're having problems, outside Mobile. We're having problems, 50 miles south of Fort Worth. That's where they're having problems. So those Target stores, they will not be having Pride displays this year. Let's see. What is the new... Oh, boy. Hold on. Sorry. It's LGBTQ. Oh, man. Hold on. Is that story going too? Why are all of these stories now disappearing? All right, here we go. All right, I'll find it. And they're moving most of their stuff, by the way. Target's still going to sell it. If you still want to buy it, we're just not going to be like, hey, you can buy it in the store. Everything can be purchased online. They're going to go big with we support the community online. They're just not going to do it in practice. They're just not going to do it in the actual stores. And I can't blame them. People can't behave. It's us. We can't behave ourselves. It's too much of a problem. Target will only sell Pride Month collection in some stores after major backlash in 2023. All right, here it is. Target is committed to supporting the... Are you ready for this? I think I remember when it was just LG. I think I remember when it was just the LG, the lesbian and gay community. That's how old I am. I remember when it was the LG, lesbian and gay community. Here's what it is now as of May the 10th, 2024. LGBTQIA, and then a plus sign. What is it because we're not doing letters anymore? It's just the plus is now going to be all encompassing. Well, that seems racist, or I don't know, against people who don't get their full letter in there. So L is lesbian, G is gay, B is bi, T is trans, Q is queer, which I thought encompassed everything. I don't know what I is. What is I? What is I and A? Adam Reyna. I need Adam Reyna. This is Adam Reyna would know. This sounds like a job for Adam Reyna. Sure shit ain't a job for Byron. Byron ain't gonna help me with that one. LGB, I know lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, I, intersexed. Is this an A? What is A? Assholes? It's not for assholes too. Well, yeah, maybe. Anyway, let's see here. Target has announced that it will only sell their Pride Month collection in select stores after suffering a backlash and boycott last year during the 2023 Pride season. The company says that instead of offering their Pride Month collection merchandise across all stores, they'll be offering a collection of products including adult apparel and home and food and beverage items curated based on consumer feedback. The collection will be available on Target.com and in select stores like New York and San Francisco, and in select stores based on historical sales performance. So yeah, and I'm guessing police reports will be factored in as well. They'll look at all of the stores where the gay merchandise sold best, and then they will balance that against the stores that had police called to them because people were fighting over the displays. That's probably how the decision will be made. The company says that instead of offering it online, they're going to do it online. Target says they are making other plans to celebrate Pride Month, including having a presence at local Pride events in Minneapolis, where the organization is headquartered. All right, there you go. Target. Target's not willing to go to the mats for their gay people. They're not. They're not going to stand strong. They're gonna give in to, people who can't behave themselves in Target stores. I think it's totally fine if you're a grown-up person and you walking through a Target store and you see like is it just lesbian and gay, or is it trans thing? It's everything, right? It's just different. It's just anyone who's having different sex. So if you're like that person and you walk through a store and you see that, I think it's perfectly fine to roll your eyes. I think you just go, oh geez, that's not my generation, and just move on with your life. That's like normal. Like just rationalizing it that way. I'm an older person. This is not anything that I've seen before. Historically, we older people don't take change well. So I'm going to roll my eyes and go on with my day. That's fine. But it's the people who pull out the phone and then start making a TikTok or an Instagram. And, I guess most of these people aren't even really triggered. They're just being performative. Again, everything is for clicks. So Target is just not dealing with it this year. And I honestly can't blame them. And I was kidding when I was like, they're abandoning the gays. They're not abandoning the gays. It's such a stupid issue. It's just stupid. And by the way, they're capitalists. They're just trying to keep everybody happy. And if this is the quickest way to keep everybody happy, fine. Do it this way. It's not like the LGBTQIA plus. I don't know. Too many letters. It's not like that community is going, well, I can't get anything. Just online. Target's like, no, we'll still sell to you. We just sell it online. Can't try it on in the store. Ugh. And aren't there stores like at any place where the gay pride parade is going to be held? They're going to sell gay pride stuff. I mean, you can buy, and I'm not saying stores shouldn't sell it. I'm saying stores should sell whatever the hell they want to store based on who their clients are, who the people who walk into their store, who they believe their customers, what their customers want to pay for. They should sell. But man, just there was so much trouble last year. I'm just saying, I get it. I'm not saying it's not complicated, and I'm not saying I'm smart enough to fix this situation because I'm obviously not. I'm just sitting here ranting on it, going through all the different options in my head and trying to come down with some workable solution that will not be found. Not on this issue, not today. All right, breaking news out of Eagle Mountain Lake. Eagle Mountain Lake, this is important to you. Anybody else a boater? I'm semi-boat person. I have friends who are boat people, and I get to hitch rides on boats for free often in the summer. So a great concern, I've said this before, we use Lake Louisville great concern for us is not so much for us, although if I'm being honest, it is a bit of a concern for me, but mostly among the kids and the ladies. The ladies always like to talk about it, and that is the presence of alligators in North Texas lakes. Are there? It's because again, that's a very complicated question. Like if you were to say to somebody, are there alligators in this lake? Someone might instinctively reply, when speaking of Lake Louisville or any of these North Texas lakes, someone might instinctively reply, there ain't alligators in this lake. But then a quick Google check will show that there have been occurrences of alligators in these lakes. So we can't just pretend they don't exist. I mean, there's a very famous picture, and I didn't grab it today, but you can find it. Lake Louisville. There was like the Lake Louisville Dam just a couple of years ago. The Army Corps of Engineers took this picture. So it's not even a crazy person. It's the Army Corps of Engineers. They were working on the dam there, and they caught a picture of a very large alligator just sunning itself right there on the rocks by the dam on Lake Louisville. So again, never seen one. There are alligator gar fish in Lake Louisville, but those aren't alligators. They just have that name in the front because their nose looks like alligators. And that also is a reason why people think they're alligators, because sometimes you'll see a gar swimming in the water and its nose sticks out and it looks like an alligator underwater, but it's not. It's just a fish. But there have been pictures of alligators in Lake Louisville. Comes this story, okay? This is out of Eagle Mountain Lake. Let me show you this. Eagle Mountain Lake, north of Fort Worth, right? North, or is it south? Let's watch this. These are a couple. So North Texas lakes. We do, in fact, apparently have a population of alligators. Check this out. These are big ones, too. All right. Eagle Mountain Lake. Look at them. I don't know how well you can see them. They're big.
Eagle Mountain Lake.
Oh, man. I don't need that in my life. I mean, thankfully, we don't go to Eagle Mountain Lake. But, you know, it's a woman Lake Louisville. It's not like that far. It's in the region. It's if they got alligators, Lake Louisville, they've had alligators in the past. The good news is that it looks like those alligators are in shallow water, and that's probably where alligators like to hang out, in shallow water. Jet skis, and you don't take them anywhere near shallow water. So in boats, you don't take them near the shallow water. So, you know, jet skis, I'll stay away. Who am I kidding? I am actually kind of freaked out now. Those were big ass alligators there at Eagle Mountain Lake. Let's see here. Here's a story out of Idaho. This is not a good one. I mean, it ended well, although I guess we don't know what the fates of some of the people, the victims, are. A man in Idaho has been sentenced to 30 years in prison, of which he must do 16. He's got to do at least 16. So what's with the 30? What is the federal penal system now like our parents? You're grounded for a month, mister. And then after 2 weeks, they're like, you can go. Is that what's happening? Everybody gets 30-year prison sentences and nobody serves whatever. You know, nobody serves whatever I get it, time on, time off, whatever. But then what's the point? So this is what this guy got sent to prison for. Man trying to spread HIV through sex with men and teenage boys has been sentenced to 30 years. A 34-year-old Idaho man has been imprisoned for at least, it says at least? No, 16. All right, whatever. We'll go with what it says here since, you know, this is a reporter. A 34-year-old Idaho man has been in prison for at least 30 years after perpetrating HIV through sexual contact with both men and teenage boys. The investigation began in August of 2023 as a child enticement case. This, according to the Ada County Prosecutor's Office. Alexander Louie is the dude's name. Alexander Louie initially began an online sexual conversation with who he believed was a 15-year-old boy, but who was actually an undercover county sheriff. Mr. Louie organized to meet up with the person he believed was the boy for sex and was arrested. Prosecutors said following the announcement of Louis' sentence, as the investigation continued, law enforcement uncovered that Mr. Louis, who is HIV positive, was not taking his medications and was purposely having sex with both men and teenage boys in the hopes to transfer HIV to them. He lied to these victims about his HIV status. Through the defendant's own admission, he had sexual intercourse with 30 to 50 different men and boys, including one as young as 15 years old. Ugh, God. Jesus. Okay, first of all, a lot to unpack there. Wait a second. On Friday, Ada County District Judge Derek O'Neill sentenced Louis to 30 years in prison, 16 of which must be served before being eligible for parole. Okay, so did you get the first sentence in this story? It said he must serve 30 years. And then the last sentence of the story is, unless he gets parole after 16. Ugh. All right, so a lot to unpack. There's that. All right, we're done with that. Secondly, what are these perverts doing trying to meet kids online? All right, look, I know that's a very broad statement. People do that. They try and meet them online. But what I'm talking about is that next step where they're like, let's meet up at an A&W root beer off Route 5. And, who's doing this? Don't we know? Don't they know? Don't perverts know? Don't perverts look at the news? Don't perverts know that, like, at least there's a 50-50 shot that it's going to be a cop and that your life is over because you're about to be arrested for trying to hook up with a kid at like a fast food restaurant in some weird rural town. How can they be that stupid? This man is 34 years old. This guy is 34 years old. He didn't know that this was probably a cop he was talking to. Ugh. Anyway, we're going to move on from that because this whole story is just gross. Apparently he had HIV and he was trying to spread it around, and now he's going to jail and he'll be able to spread it in jail. And what's your answer for that? You got to put his dick in a box. That's what it is. Dick in a box. That's what we need. His dick needs to be in a box. Here's how you do it. These sex predators, these sex criminals. We have these what are they called? Chastity belts. They have them for women. They have them for men. His dick's got to go in a box. Can't even see it. It's not even going to be like a cage. Like I've seen like sexy BDSM stuff, and they're like, "Ooh, sexy dick cage." I'm like, nope. It's not even going to be a cage. It's going to be a box. It's not going to be able to breathe. It's going to be hot. It's going to be clammy when you take it out of there. And he's okay. So here, because I'm not a monster. He should be allowed to take it out to pee, okay? So he can take it out to pee, and then maybe he can get we'll give him 10 minutes of rec time, if you will, where he can just do whatever he needs to do. But he can't be around people when he's doing that because he's a sex criminal, because he's a pervert. But that's it. Just put his dick in a box. Can't have him having sex with other inmates. He's just going to spread AIDS or HIV. I don't know. I'm stupid. Whatever. All right, let's move on. There he goes. That's the dude in Idaho. Okay. So here's the story. This is an interesting story that I saw today. This concerns single moms. And I just so happen to be an expert on single moms, having dated quite a few of them. I prefer dating single moms. All you dudes are like, if she's got a kid, I'm out. Yeah, no, screw you. That's fine. I'll get in line there. I like a single mom. A single mom, are you dating a single mom? She's way more together than some crazy chick without kids. Well, you can't ever do anything. She always got to go home. Yeah, good. I'm glad she can go home. I'm glad she's got a place to be. It's perfect. It was like the perfect dating thing. You get to go out with your boys. Why? Because, you're dating a single mom and she's got to stay home on Wednesday nights. She can't be playing trivia at tailgaters or, wherever it is you're going. Is that even a place? Sounds like it should be, right? I'm sure there's a tailgaters. So anyway, there's a story here, and I was raised by a single mom. I was raised by an apex single mom. So there's a story here today about the growing number of women, millennials and Gen Z women, especially, millennials who are now getting closer to, their 40s, the choice to be single moms on their own, the choice to be a single mom. Like, they're just going to start out. They don't want a man. They don't want a husband. They don't want to, be in a relationship. Hell, a couple of these women they talked to here, they weren't even in relationships or seeking a relationship, but they did want a kid. So let's get into that for just a minute here about the glamorous world of being a single mom, shall we? Dateline, New York City, because of course all this bullshit happens in New York City where women make, these are all like high-powered attorneys who make $500,000 a year and they don't need a man. No, you don't need a man because you make more than 4 families. Up against her biological clock, Tracy Kodak faced a tough decision at age 39. She says she remembered the moment she decided to have a baby on her own. I was with my best friend and I said, I don't have a partner. and I need to be a mom. She emptied her savings to cover fertility treatments using using sperm donated by a friend, and after 3 years of trying, she had Zola. Then it was, oh my gosh, I'm taking home a human. Yeah, okay, get in line. Every parent has that feeling. You're not special. But you're taking home a human alone, which again doesn't make you special, although this article seems to be talking about these women in a way that makes them seem so heroic, and so, which is why I'm pushing back. I think it's absolutely bullshit. I think that it's so nice for you to be able to, by choice, become a single mother, when the world is filled with single mothers who absolutely crushed the mom game thing, like mine, who did it all by themselves, not because it was a choice because they were empowered. No, they did it because life just got fucking involved. My father was murdered when I was 6 months old. That's how my mom became a single mom. She didn't get to choose. It wasn't like, oh, now I have to go back to school and learn something and now I've got to work. And no. So it's a bit, I mean, is it female empowering? Is this a great thing? I don't have a problem with it if you can afford it. But the idea that you think that being a single mom is something that, you're just going to do and it's going to be fine. No, it's not. It will be fine if you got a good one. It will be fine if you're a good mom. If you've got the mom thing and you can do it, then it's going to be fine. But this idea that it's now somehow being romanticized as a choice, as a preferred choice, it's insulting. It should be insulting to any single mom who had to bust their ass working 2-3 jobs, waking up, getting the kids off to school, then going to one job, coming back, making sure they have dinner, setting up the babysitter, and then going to their second job. It's fucking bullshit, and it's insulting. So sorry, Tori Romos, who's another woman that they're talking about here. She's an advertising executive, and she's just decided that she's gonna have a kid. And being a single mom is something that she's always wanted. What always wanted? What the fuck? What is this? Like this romanticization of a thing that is foisted on women that they don't want. Most women didn't have a choice. There ain't no New York Times article about how brave and empowered female-wise they are. No. It wasn't easy. It's not a choice. These people are like, ugh. And that's the secret of this story that's not being mentioned. All of these single moms are wealthy. All of these single moms that they talk to. Now, this chick says, I had to empty my savings to get fertility treatments. Okay, whatever. Everyone else they mention has a very good job. They seem to be from her Manhattan Upper East Side apartment. It's like, okay, all right, I know who you are. You're rich. You can pay 10 grand a month for a 2-bedroom. Let's see here. This speaks to the misconception that we have somehow purposefully handicapped our children by only bringing them into the world with one parent. Oh, that's what Ramos says. Right. So this Ramos chick, she's saying that children, just because children have 2 parents, that's not, doesn't have to be that way. And kids become just as great if they have just one parent. Again, yes, an incredible mom, an incredibly attentive mom, a loving mom, an honest mom, a hardworking mom can overcome one parent. But is that you? Is that everybody? I don't think so. It's special. If you're a single mom and you raise your kid and they grow up to be something, and sometimes not something, but you raise your kid and they grow up not to be an asshole. How about that? That's really the trick. Are they happy? Are they not an asshole? If you can check those 2 boxes and you are a single mom and you did it, then that's great. Anyway, moving on. It's Mother's Day. I hope you all have a good Mother's Day. I will not be seeing my mom. I don't get my mom anything for Mother's Day because I'm broke and she doesn't. She would probably yell at me if I did. But again, you're all fighting for second place because my mom is the best. And there we have it. Happy Mother's Day. And don't go New York Times article. Don't go like romanticizing being a single mom. Okay. It's something that you have to do because you have no other choice. And when you do it well, that's when we put you on Mount Rushmore. It's not just, well, I make $500,000 a year and who needs a man? I would have loved to have had a father Stop speaking for the child. I will tell you, as someone who was raised by just a single mother, I would have loved to have had a father. I completely understood what was missing in my life, what influence was missing. Stop acting like it's inconsequential. It's not. Now, I was normal, and I was raised normal, and I think I was a popular kid, and I think I had a lot of friends, and I had fun, and my life was happy. But whose life wasn't happy? My mom's. My single mom. I don't think her life was very happy. I think her life was just nothing but drudgery, punching a time clock and just making it work. Not because, again, she decided to take a sabbatical from her law firm and raise a child on her own. Hate these people. All right, moving on. That's it. Happy. My phone is doing weird things. Anybody else's phone doing weird things today? My phone is doing really weird things. I bet it's the solar flares. Here we go, folks. We're all about to die. And just in time for all of us to die, a truly weird movie from a truly weird guy that I can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see this movie. Nicolas Cage has been announced as the lead in a new film. Hold on, let me give you this. let me make sure we get this. It's a horror film. I don't know what it's called. Does it have a name yet? Nicolas Cage is starring as Joseph. Okay. But by the way, Mary is being played by that British actress, rapper, SKW Twigs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what her name is. KWC Twigs. It's a bunch of letters and then Twigs. She's Mary, and Nicolas Cage is Joseph. Now, I don't know if that's accurate, but it would probably make sense that Joseph was 40 years older than Mary. Whatever. I mean, Nicolas Cage could play Jesus's grandpa. No, but Joseph? Okay, so that's what we're getting. We're getting Nicolas Cage as Joseph, and we're getting some hip-hop girl as or maybe she's an actress. I don't know. Sounds like a hip-hop name. As Mary. And this movie is it's a horror film. It's a horror movie about Jesus, the teenage years. It's a horror film about Jesus, the teenage years. Now, this is taken. The concept of Jesus, the teenager. That has been. Look, I'm a Jesuit. I am not a Christian. I am not religious or faithful, but I do believe in the word of Jesus. I think that he is a philosopher. I think he's probably the greatest human being that has ever lived. Certainly the most impactful and influential human that's ever lived. Whether or not he's the son of God, hey, that's what life journey's about, right? I'm going to have to figure that out at some point. So far, not sure. Here's what I do know. Jesus said some shit, and we should all probably listen to what that dude said because he seemed like a cool dude. What's missing from all the Gospels of Jesus is, of course, the teenage years. We don't know much about Jesus, the teenager. We know about Jesus, the baby. We know about Christmas. And then we go straight to like Jesus with abs in his mid 20s, right? Where we learn about him going from town to town. And then, of course, the death in the 30s. But Jesus, the teenage years, is not something that we know much about. Now, that's not to say that the historical scrolls do not mention Jesus, the teen, but they do. They do. The Gospels of Thomas. I don't know if you're familiar with the Gospels of Thomas. Thomas was one of the 12 apostles. Thomas is famous as, the phrase doubting Thomas. That's where we get that from. You're a doubting Thomas. The apostle Thomas doubted that Jesus had, resurrected himself, had risen from the dead. And upon seeing proof that Jesus's wounds had healed, Thomas, I'm sorry for doubting you, Lord, all that stuff. So that's where the phrase doubting Thomas comes from. But anyway, Thomas, the apostle to Jesus, he knew Jesus his whole life. And Thomas wrote didn't write, but they were ascribed to him, the Gospels of Thomas, which are, sometimes people are like, they're lost Gospels. They're this, it's not really lost. They're just non-canonical is what they are. They used to be a part of the canon of the Gospels, but they were taken out in like the 14th century or something because, I don't know, was Jesus throwing snowballs at cars? Did Jesus knock a chick up in high school? I mean, I don't know what he did, but for some reason, these stories were taken out of the actual canonical run of the Bible, okay? But they do exist. They're a real thing. And then they were found again. They were rediscovered like in the 1920s in like some Israeli village during an excavation. They found all of these stories of Jesus from the teen years. Some people are like, they're fake, they're not real. And other people are like, no, they are. But Jesus was a horny teen boy. And, I guess Catholic Church didn't appreciate that. And so they didn't. And they didn't go with a lot of that stuff. But that's what this movie is about, okay? Nick Cage is making a Jesus horror film based on the Gospels of Thomas. And it's a horror film. So I don't know what this is going to be about, but let's dive in, shall we? I've told you everything that I know just from Nicolas Cage to star in new horror film about young Jesus Christ. Nicolas Cage stars as Joseph in The Carpenter's Son. Ooh, The Carpenter's Son. So here's what I think it's about. I think it's about how weird it was to be raising someone with these supernatural powers and, right? Like weird thing, like Omen, like maybe a flip side of the Omen. I don't know, but creepy, weird, scary shit probably went on. Nicolas Cage stars as Joseph in The Carpenter's Son, a new horror film exploring the life of young Jesus Christ in Roman Egypt. Oh, there it is. FKA Twigs. That's who it is. FKA Twigs plays Mary in the film, inspired by the Gospels of Thomas. Religious horror films are on the rise in 2024 with successful releases like Immaculate, The First Omen, and The Pope's Exorcist. Are those religious horror films or are they just horror films? Like, so then is the original Exorcist a religious film? Is the original Omen a religious film? I guess they would be. There was a whole lot of religious scripture and stuff like that discussed in those movies. I had never thought about them like that, but okay, I will now argue that. My next argument will be whether or not The Exorcist is a religious film or not. Let's see. While there have been a plethora of horror films about demonic possession, exorcisms, and strange religious happenings, few, if any, have explored the life of Jesus Christ until now. It's been announced that Nicolas Cage will star in the new horror film, directed by Lofty Nathan. Don't know who that is. Cage will appear opposite FKA Twigs and Noah Jupe. I don't know who Noah Jupe is. This is per Deadline. The Carpenter's Son will explore the life of a young Jesus Christ and his family as they become the target of horrors, both natural and divine. The director took inspiration for the screenplay from the apocryphal Infancy Gospel of Thomas, which dates back to 2nd century AD, and whose text recounts the life of the budding Savior. Check out the official synopsis below. All right, so here's the synopsis. This sounds interesting, doesn't it? Doesn't this sound pretty interesting? Especially if they go like real, like Exorcist level horror, like weird, unexplained things happening, creepy ass things. Here's the synopsis. The Carpenter's Son tells the dark story of a family hiding out in Roman Egypt. The son, known only as the boy, is driven to doubt by another mysterious child and rebels against his guardian, the carpenter, revealing inherent powers and a fate beyond his comprehension. As he exercises his own power, the boy and his family become the target of horrors, both natural and divine. That's a pitch. I'll tell you something. Let's make that movie. How much do you need? I'll write the check right now. That's a movie premise. Yeah. Show me that. Show me like Jesus as Carrie. Oh man. I don't know if it'll be a hit. It's a Nick Cage movie. I don't know what to make of Nick Cage movies anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like Nick Cage has made like 100 movies in the last 3 years, and they're all bad, or at least they all look bad. That's actually not true. There's what are those where he's in the woods in the biker gang and they're like cannibals and he's a badass? He's made Mandy. He's made a couple of good movies. So did he get in tax trouble? Is that what's going on with Nick Cage? Like, did he get in tax trouble and he all of a sudden needed to come up with like $200 million? So he just made like shit movie after shit movie just for the money. But a couple of those shit movies are actually really good. Hold on. Let me see there was one that I really liked. Was it Mandy? I thought there was a second one. Are there two Mandys? Let's see. Nick Cage filmography. Let's see. Let's go through Nick Cage. Have we done a Nick Cage draft? I'm not sure that we have. Wow, I gotta have to really think about a Nick Cage draft here. All right, let's see. What has he done? All right. Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Valley Girl and Rumblefish, Racing with the Moon. Boy, he came out of the gates hot. Valley Girl. All right, so like in the last, I don't know, let's say last 10 years, right? So let's go with 2015. So here's what he's done since 2015. He's done The Runner, Pay the Ghost, The Trust, Dog Eat Dog, Snowden, USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage. Army of One, Arsenal, Vengeance, A Love Story. Inconceivable, Mom and Dad, 2018, Mandy. That's it. Mandy's good. Mandy's good. Then he did Looking Glass. He did The Humanity Bureau, 211, Teen Titans Go, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. There's a big one. Between Worlds, Love and Tasha, A Score to Settle, Color Out of Space, Running with the Devil, This is all in the last 10 years, and we're only in 2019. Kill Chain, Primal, Grand Isle, Jiu-Jitsu, The Croods, A New Age, Prisoners of the Ghostland, Willy's Wonderland, Pig. That's it. Pig. I liked Pig. Pig was good. Mandy and Pig are two really good movies. Seriously, Mandy will fucking freak you out. Mandy is a freaky, scary horror movie. One of the best horror movies that I have seen in 20 years. Mandy is excellent. Pig is also awesome. And then he did The Butcher's Crossing, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, The Old Way, Renfield, The Flash, Sympathy for the Devil, The Retirement Plan, Dream Scenario, Arcadian, The Surfer, Long Legs, The Gunslinger, and now The Carpenter's Son. Nick Cage, just ringing that till, making that money. I do. I think it was either like he was a victim of Madoff, like somebody ran off with a bunch of his money, and then maybe there was some tax problems. So he just started saying yes to every script. Does it hurt his legacy? Shit, no. He's Nick Cage. He's awesome. He's always going to be Nick Cage. Doesn't matter if he does 1,000. The first 15 that he did pretty much solidified who he was. Nick Cage. I was going to say we should do a Nick Cage draft, but I don't think so. Jeff says, don't forget the horrible Ghost Rider. Well, that was before. I think the Ghost Rider film started before 2015. But yeah, I never saw those movies. I like that. Nick Cage is a great actor. He's a really great actor. What's that? What's the one where he just played I think it was who made that movie? David Lynch? Wild at Heart? Oh my God. Wild at Heart is nuts. He's great in Valley Girl. That was the first time I saw him. I'm not going to give him too much credit for Valley Girl because that was the first time I ever saw him. But I love that movie. Valley Girl was a good movie. Maybe I'll force my kid to watch it this week. Oh, fuck. God darn it. I just realized I can't force my son to watch. I can't force my son to watch anything this weekend because it's his birthday weekend. That means that, by the rules, that he's going to get to force me to watch something. Oh, this is going to suck. He's going to make me watch something stupid. Although maybe not. It might be good. I don't know. Stay optimistic. I need to be better with my open mind. Leaving Las Vegas. Yeah, but that was back in the 90s. That's where he got his Oscar for, Leaving Las Vegas. All right, look, if we're doing this, fine. We'll do it. I don't care. Jerks. We'll do it. We'll do a Nick Cage draft real quick. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's see here. Let's go through the Nick Cage draft. All right, now this is how I put the drafts together when we're not streaming. So we'll go through the decades, right? So the first decade, we're going through the 80s. So the 80s, here's what we got. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He wasn't even credited. He was one of Brad's buddies. Don't worry about it. Actually, he was credited as Nicholas Coppola. He hadn't even changed his name. Valley Girl. Yeah, we're going to go with Valley Girl. Okay, Valley Girl's good. Then you got Rumblefish, Racing with the Moon, Cotton Club, Birdie. Birdie was good. Okay, do any of those come out of the 10s to make the final draft? Yep, Valley Girl. Valley Girl comes out of the 1980s. Let's go into the 90s now, shall we? Let's look. Peggy Sue got married. Oh no, this is still the 80s. Peggy Sue got married. That was good. He was so good in that. Raising Arizona. There you go. Raising Arizona comes out. So now we got 2 potential for the draft order. We got Raising Arizona and Valley Girl. Raising Arizona comes out. Moonstruck. God, that was a big movie for him. But doesn't make my draft. Moonstruck with Cher. That turned him into like a leading man. Time to Kill. Don't think I know that. Never on Tuesday. Never saw it. 1990. Let's get it started. Wild at Heart. Yes. Wild at Heart. Let's pull Wild at Heart out. All right, so there we've got 3. 1990s gave us Honeymoon in Vegas. Oh, you got to pull Honeymoon in Vegas out. Honeymoon in Vegas comes out. That's another one of the great Nick Cage movies. Oh, man. And you got Amos and Andrew, Red Rock West, Deadfall, and Guarding Tess. Guarding Tess is good. All right, we're going to move Guarding Tess aside. Guarding Tess I don't think makes the top 5, but it certainly does get a camp invite. There you go. Then we've got Leaving Las Vegas, Kiss of Death, Trapped in Paradise. Is Trapped in Paradise one of those stupid comedy? Trapped in Paradise is a 1994 American Christmas-themed crime comedy written and directed by George Gallo and starring Nicolas Cage, John Lovitz. There you go. All you got to do is say John Lovitz. No thanks. In the 90s, in 95, he did Leaving Las Vegas. God damn it. All right, we got to pull out Leaving Las Vegas. Leaving Las Vegas gets pulled out. He won an Oscar for it. That's a great movie. Then he did The Rock. Pull out The Rock. Then he did Con Air. Pull out Con Air. Then Face Off. Pull out Face Off. Oh, my God. Ugh. Gone in 60 Seconds. We've pulled too many already. Bringing Out the Dead. Bringing Out the Dead is one of the most overlooked Martin Scorsese films of all time. It's about guys who work for the coroner's office in Manhattan. And Nick Cage plays a ambulance driver, a coroner. You know, he drives the ambulance for the coroner's office and he brings out the dead every night. And it's just about the mayhem of a Saturday night in Manhattan and then just how many dead people there are. It's a good movie. And I don't think it's ever been truly appreciated because it was a little bit different than the style of movie that I think we all wanted from Martin Scorsese. But Bringing Out the Dead is a really good Nicolas Cage movie. Also in 1999, he did 8mm. 8mm is another great Nicolas Cage movie. God damn, we've got too many. Do you realize that the movie that he won the Oscar for may not even get drafted in a 5-round draft? Because 8mm gets pulled out. Bringing Out the Dead gets pulled out. Gone in 60 Seconds, I'm going to pull it out. What is Shadow of the Vampire? What is that? I think I remember that. Shadow of the Vampire is a 2000 independent period vampire movie. The film stars John Malkovich and William Dafoe. It's a fictionalized account of the making. Oh yeah, never mind. Didn't like that movie. We're going through a Nicolas Cage draft. We're looking at all of his movies and trying to figure out which is the best. Holy shit. Adaptation. Forgot about that. Adaptation. 2002. Matchstick Men. So good. National Treasure. So good. And he did World Trade Center. Now we're into the Ghost Riders. All right. Ghost Rider in 2007. National Treasure Book of Secrets also. Bad Lieutenant Port of New Orleans, which was very good. It's another one of these low-budget movies that he did. It looks to me like he started doing low-budget, grind-em-out films around 2007. Looks like around 2007 is when he got his money taken from him for whatever reason. And that's when we started to see, a lot of Bangkok Dangerous, G-Force, Astro Boy, Season of the Witch, Drive Angry. Drive Angry is good. That's another dumb movie that he did, probably from, probably the most highest paid. The bulk of the budget on most of these movies were going to Nick Cage. That's why he did them. Like if there was like a $5 million budget on the movie, Nick Cage was making $3 million. And then they were making the movie for $2 million because they knew that if they could put Nick Cage on the cover, that they might make that back. Whole bunch of Ghost Riders. I'm done. I don't know. I'm just going to say Valley Girl. I don't know. That's my favorite Nick Cage movie. Too many Nick Cage movies. Jameson Minkoff says The Wicker Man, Lord of War. Yeah, I didn't even get to Lord of War. That's a good one. Lord of War is good. That's the story of the arms dealer. It's a true story, supposed to be. Byron says he got with Lisa Marie just so he could see upstairs at Graceland. That's epic. Yeah. I don't know that that's true. I've never heard that before, but that certainly does seem like something old Nick Cage would do. He's also, let's not kid ourselves. He's talented and he has stuck around because he is talented, but he was a Nepo baby. Nick Cage is another Nepo baby. I told you, he used to be Nicholas Coppola. That was his name. And then he decided that he didn't want to be a Nepo baby after getting cast in a bunch of movies. And he decided that he was going to switch to Nick Cage because he wanted to be able to say that I'm not leaning on my uncle Francis Ford Coppola's success to get work in Hollywood. Stop it, dude. You were Nick Coppola for the first half of your career, or your early career anyway. People knew who you were. They knew that you were Francis Ford Coppola's nephew. That's why you got meetings. Nobody wanted to piss off your uncle. However, with that being said, that's how he got the break. How you get the break is important. Once you get the break, you got to be able to stay there. He stayed. He's Nick Cage. He's fucking good. What do you want? He's good. All right, guys, we're done. This can be it for the show today. Happy Friday. Hope you had yourself a good week. It's Mother's Day. Make sure you tell your mom you love her, or at least in some way, whatever way you can. Let them know that, Is there anybody that we're meaner to? Is there anybody that and I don't mean mean, like, hey, fat ass. I don't mean like that. I mean like microaggressions. Is there anybody that we feel we can get away with being just shitty to in a way that we wouldn't be shitty to anybody else? But it seems like I hope it's not just me. And in fact, I know it's not just me because I've seen the way other people talk to their parents, especially as adults. We stop that. Let's stop that for a weekend and just appreciate your moms. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you to everybody who helped out with the show during Pledge Week. You guys are all awesome. We didn't make it, but we came close enough so that, it's still going to suck, but we made it. We're going to continue for another month. We can justify. So thank you for that. And onward and upward. Have a great weekend. Oh, and follow, subscribe, do all of those things on the channel because as big breaking news, something happens, I'm going to come on. Sometimes I do streams. I don't just come on Monday through Friday at noon. I come on whenever there's something that I feel like I want to yell about. And that hasn't happened much lately, but it may. And so you're going to want to follow, and subscribe. Okay, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Bye.